we're actually going to be using some of the linguistic patterns, and we may change meta programs unknowingly or knowingly, and we will step through various perceptual positions, stepping out from first to second, third. Here's something new I want you to try out: meeting trauma, or meeting things. So just write that down for your notes: meeting trauma, or meeting the fear. I'd like you to
Hi there, welcome to the replay of our after hours discussions with professional coaches. Your exclusive complimentary Sunday session for all of our community around the world, where coaching minds unite with our people to create real world results. I am Adrian Cahill, your host and founder of the Motivate community, and more recently, Monday Morning Motivation. As a global trainer in NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming, coaching, and hypnosis, this weekly gathering brings some of my colleagues from trainings, my fellow students and coaches all together in one place where we can discuss, share, help change the world by delivering free, quality information that's here to help you transform.
So you guys know me, and we're going to talk today about the NLP framework, this neurological levels for depth, and looking at it with the ICF. And there's two reasons why we're doing this, and this is what we got up on the PowerPoint. And this is pretty accurate. Some people feel that they may have surface level tools, and some people might have the question of, what if we go too deep too fast? Or where do you go deep? Can you go deep? And we have a lot of stuff that we're told, like we have to refer on clients or don't work with people if they're in certain categories. Yeah. And with Ben here, he'll probably have you questioning so many of the categories and the categories we have for things like deep. Yeah. Categories we have for coaching, transformational coaching, or awakening. And we might even go deeper and question, are we automatically putting our values and our beliefs on all our clients? And is that even ethical? So I've kind of made this with you guys in mind and with you guys. I know some of you are more in the area of coaching, some are more in the area of therapy. We got a bunch of NLP practitioners here, also other modalities, and we've got people here that are leaders and carers. You may care for people. I'm hoping that you'll get more of an understanding and get some of the tools so you can do what you do better. Don't necessarily change directions. I just want to set this up so you can get a bit more of a feel for some things and be able to be perhaps a more whole you, or step into a new you, or dig a bit deeper sometimes. I might even skip my bio. You guys know my bio. But what I will add, I did start with psychotherapy. It got my interest really young. I only have two uncles. One passed away, and he was like a psychotherapist nurse or a psychiatric nurse in the crazy ward, and we would visit him sometime. So visiting my uncle in the crazy ward, it was actually called Ward 10B, which was a famous place up here. And my sister and I would be with him, and we'd fill up little cups of water. And when some people left, like the 10th ward, we would walk over to the balcony with the cups of water and we would drop them off the balcony. and they would drift down, splat, yeah. And my uncle had timed it, and he knew how long it would take. So you would come pretty close to hitting someone on the head with a cup of water. So that kind of got me into the mind and mental things. And my uncle also left me a little tape, and I think this is really cool. But he left me a tape. He said tape. How to reduce your blood pressure.
Mhm.
You put it in, you press play, and 45 minutes come in, you turn it over, but you never needed to turn it over. And it was just a really nice meditation. And you go down to your sacred spot by a safe beach, and you have a relaxing time on the beach. And as you know, we've used that a lot for some of our meditations and our hypnosis work. And it got set up for me through, through psychiatric nurse. When I found the NLP, love it, swear by it, I put it all together. And then over the years, I managed to get trained by pretty much all the major players and early creators in the NLP world and the hypnosis world. Also, with some of the executive coaching. Yeah, I love this. Love our work. But part of my underlying psyche, Australian. Yep. So my family came out here to Australia a long, long time ago, and I had to have a performance. I like to perform to attain a certain I don't know, perhaps a high value is for achievement and progressing. So that's an underlying bias in my psychology. You're all aware we have unbiased. We all have our own built-in filters. Yeah. Well, where we're from, we have some deep built-in filters, and some of them are so deep we can barely see them. The one thing I've been questioning more so recently is what are the deeper and the deeper filters I can find? What are the filters that are so deep? And one of them is like purpose. We've got something to do on this planet. Yeah. I'm sure at times you think, what's your deeper purpose for being alive? What's your deeper purpose? And even who are you? Or who do you want to become? Yeah. Who do you want to become next? So not anything to do with anyone else in this room. Not to do with any other mask, but the deeper elements inside of you. Who do you want to be? Or who are you becoming? And if you think about who you are, there's certain things that's just so important and obvious that's not even spoken. Things like safety. We don't often talk about it, but it's a deep value, and love. And we have these things we value, like our safety, our comfort, and we start to develop beliefs on all these values. We develop beliefs around how our values are met. I see a slight separation between the values and beliefs, where the values can be seen as a constellation of beliefs, or beliefs are formed around a value. So if I value love, I've got a whole bunch of beliefs about love. Hence, we can look at values, or we can look at individual beliefs. And when we go, what's your definition of love? Or what's your definition of forgiveness? What's your definition of worthy? So I have values and beliefs on a slightly I normally have values on a higher level, beliefs just below. When we believe we can love, or we believe we can listen, we gain more of the capability, the capacity to listen, to love. If we believe we can, the capacity to becomes easier. If we believe we can't, maybe we can't, or we get stuck. So as we grow our capabilities here, our capabilities, our beliefs is often repeating yourself, repeating over and over again. So we repeat what we're capable of doing. Call up behavior, right? Some people will throw other words in here. And if you like to, I'd like for you to consider if you were to make a model like this for yourself, for your own work. And some people's behavior can vary. And our behavior, what we do, creates the environment around us. This is a way I like to see the world. And this helps me frame certain things. Could also serve as anchors, and we could also talk at certain points about what do you mean by identity? What do you mean by belief? What is a belief? What is a value? And a lot of people actually struggle to define a value. And is a value a belief? Yeah. A value is a belief, then isn't a category of itself? Oh yeah. But this separating these, I find useful. And about a month ago, I was studying Tantra yoga. I did a Tantra yoga training course, and as part of it, they had a very similar model. Only their model, I did not put it here. Their model had the lines in different places. So you might see a chakra system with 7. You might see a chakra system with 5. You might see a Chinese Taoist system with 108. So I'm curious if you are doing other work with people, or if you have different languages, if you have a different language, can you see that your work may fall into some kind of category here, or an area around a section here? So this is just a model we're seeing, and a lot of people might see that they're coaching people into a greater purpose. No, it doesn't feel right. When you hear about coaches, what kind of things are people asking for? Are they asking straight up for a phobia cure? Or are they asking, what are people asking coaches for?
I think most will ask that they have a challenge and how to overcome the challenge. They will not go straight to the tool how to overcome it, like a fast phobia cure. They will tell you they have a phobia of narrow places, a phobia of spiders or whatever.
Yeah, so people come because they're having a problem. And they're having a problem, and so a problem. I'm thinking a problem. I just had an email from a expat in Hong Kong. A problem with their child, and that their child's like 30, right? And he is behaving a certain way and causing a bit of an issue there with the environment and the behavior, and the parents are struggling with it. Now, parents are naturally, they've got a problem with their kid. How can I solve the kid? They're kind of looking at it at a similar level. Remember, Einstein always said, like, you can't solve the problem with the same level of thinking that created it, or think outside the box. Generally, that's where coaching finds a solution. So in coaching, we generally find the solution by kind of going up a slightly higher level. And you might like to think of it in terms of parts integration. Part of me wants this, part of me wants that. Coach, we get them together. We find a midway, we find a way to fuse or get the part inside. Yeah. But you can use names from therapy, you can use names from NLP, you could use breath work, you can use mindfulness, and have a bunch of different ways to change them. Now, one of the real reasons I wanted to get into this is I met one of our students who did the 18-week NLP online, and he liked the NLP and got a lot from it, and then he went on and studied some other stuff, and I came back and met him 4 years later, and he showed me his latest and greatest stuff, and I walked through the process, and I'm like, wonderful. It's really, really good. It's a great process. And he's like, yeah, you want me to show you how to do it? And I went, so he took me through the process, and at the end he says, you want me to show you how to do it? And I went, oh, no, I know how to do it. It's this process and this and this and that and that. And he's like, oh, yeah, you know, he was surprised that I knew what it was. But it's just like, yeah, that's in like the level 2 NLP. Sorry, man, that's in the level 2 NLP. You did you did an introduction to it, so you didn't get to go deeper. He only got to see like the basic stuff. He didn't get to go deeper. He didn't go deep enough. So I think some of our students may go looking for deeper and deeper work, but it's often I think a slight misdirection. I think we might need to go deeper into ourselves. Deeper into ourselves, deeper into perhaps our own habits, deeper perhaps into our own relationships with ourselves, or the relationships with the way we handle all the different challenges. So for those that have the basics of NLP, we're going to start directing it a bit more. But now, how are we doing with ICF coaching style? I would like to see participants in the room. If you have an ICF credential or a membership, could you put it in the chat window? If you have a ICF credential. Yeah, wow. Cool, and I think we're gonna have a couple more pop in there. So some people do ICF. There's a couple of stages of the ICF. I like to show you because I used to speak very highly of the ICF. And if I was in a city like Sydney, Brisbane, Shanghai, Singapore, Barcelona, or I wanted to work with a lot more people as a professional coach, I would definitely get the ICF qualification still. So ICF coaching, really worthwhile if you want to work in a professional corporate space. If you want to work in your town, your local community, perhaps, it could be really good. So a lot of our graduates, a lot of our students have done the NLP training and gone on and done some of the ICF training. We have some ICF training coming up, just a little bite-sized piece. And it is a worthwhile pursuit. Along with the NLP qualifications, you can go for the ICF qualifications, and you got the membership, pay $200 a year, $300 a year to be a member of their organization. And then you aim to go up these 3 levels: ACC, PCC, MCC. Myself and Philip Effenberger are doing some training around the ICF coaching framework. And what we're aiming to do in that is do ICF MCC level delivery, MCC level coaching for Philip and I. Because we have to, I'm sharing this with you guys just openly, we have to record sessions for qualification. So I said, okay, well, why don't we have delivered ICF, PCC, and MCC level trainings before in workshops. Let's do it again. So we're going to run a short workshop. Estrelita has the details, where we're going to do some ICF, MCC level coaching. Now, the idea of the ICF is that when coaches start, the most common thing we kind of start with is a question of, what do you want? What do you want? So guys, if I could, I'd like to get a couple of answers to this question. What do you want? Now, I will say, okay, let's say, okay, life. Regarding your life. What do you want? Come on, shout it out, someone. A flyer. What do you want? Ben wants to walk on water.
Adrian, I want the freedom to be me.
The freedom to be me. All right, let's say Jay and I coach on that. So, Jay, the freedom to be me. What's stopping you from behaving like you're free now?
Not much at this moment, mainly government bureaucracy, rules, regulations and laws.
Now, a lot of people might work right here and take Jay's challenge and niche down and coach on it, or say, hey, I'm a bit of an expert in that, and that's my services. I offer people support for getting through that. And if I was to coach you, we could get started right there and look at how you can do it, and maybe set up some anchors and collapse anchors and stuff. Now, remember when you first learn how to do anchoring, client comes into the thing and he has a problem, and you can anchor a resourceful state, and, you can actually get 2 anchors and press them together. Yeah. This kind of basic application of NLP, maybe even just switching in a new behavior, can really solve those behavioral problems. It could be a spending behavior, could be a love behavior, could be an addiction. And that's a great place to start. It's an absolute great place to start. And I think the idea is that we have a natural progression to start to recognize patterns. And the more we work with people, the more we do our own work, the more we recognize patterns. And yes, there's patterns of behaviors, but some of these patterns might flow in ways, and those ways may be shaped by values and beliefs. So we start to question more the higher level, what's important, and when I ask another question, not what's important, but what's really important. What do you really want? What do you really, really want?
Shall I answer somewhat of that?
Before you answer it, thank you. How did it feel? Different.
Actually, the realization that I'm upper level, looking at beliefs and values, was just quite interesting then.
Mm. Yeah, or it's not necessarily fixed too. If we're talking about one level, yeah, you could see it on the next. We're not going to be rigid with those lines, and the borders between definitions are certainly not rigid here.
Mm. But if I may, the realization is that probably most of the issue around that for me is that it is affecting my behavior and capabilities underneath it.
What I would like you to do, and for those going deeper in, just think a bit deeper, like what do you really want? And what do you really want now? But notice how easy we can change this, What could you want? What could you want? What could you want? What should you want? What should you want? If there is a critic, some people may have a critic or someone else's values. They often come out represented as should. I should be doing X. Often someone else's values, yeah. What do you desire to do? What do you choose to do? See, I really like just the ability to shift questions a little bit. Now, if you are an ICF coach, or if you are training, not for you guys, but for those that haven't done any NLP training, they will probably learn this over the years, over the many years that they will learn more and more distinctions between words like should and could. Yeah. But why don't you just kind of go to the root source and go to hang on, what kind of animal is that? Modal operator. That's a modal operator, right? Just go to the root source and say, hey, ChatGPT, let's play with the word, what do you want? Let's play with this word or this question. What do you want? How can I change the words, or what other slight variations can we make? And then do we want to be asking people as a coach, what do you want? Do we want to ask them we can move up and ask more questions, unearthing the values, what's important, what's really important, or what's the purpose. Yeah, notice we're going for what, not why. We can ask the question why, and you can say to someone why. It's just why tends to get people going back, and that they tend to kind of go back with reasoning. They grab the first excuse or reason they can find, and normally once they get the first one, that's what they stick to. Whereas the question of what's the purpose automatically takes kind of people up further. Yeah. Now, the ICF MCC level, that's the coaching we want to be focused a bit more on doing, which is simply going kind of deeper. But how do we go deeper? Well, we'll cover that soon. But this is what I like. I like this more of the MCC level, looking at a deeper level of existence. Now, If we make a change at a higher level, it'll flow down. If we make a change at the bottom, it may float up. Yeah, if any of you guys join the Mormons or Jehovah's Witnesses or move to Kenya, yeah, move out to the Masai Mara and join a village, you're going to have a lot of change. Yeah. Now, if you suddenly found a book on a religion and it had an identity level shift, and you could probably pursue that and go over there, perhaps, or change your lifestyle. But generally, when someone has, yeah, things roll downhill. Ben, you want to add something in there?
I can if you would like.
Yeah. Why does it always float downhill? That's the expansion, isn't it?
So
One or two, one or two.
high potential always flows to low potential. It's got to fill the void, yeah. But when that void gets a capacity, it can also go up. Behavior can be emergent from an environment as well. Imagine if you have a forest and you throw animals in there, the ones that are more suited to the environment because of their behaviors are going to live a lot longer and probably eat all the other ones. So the information can come down, but then the actionables can come up. They come into being. They manifest into reality as such.
And you mentioned the word emergent versus
Yeah.
goal setting. Yeah.
Yeah. Or emergent from the information coming in. So the information would be the cause and the effect would be the new behavior.
In traditional Western culture, perhaps, or what we were taught at school, goal setting, most NLP trainings, most life skills training is kind of like, that's the goal we want at the end. You know, and we often have this kind of goal in mind, and perhaps it's $1 million with the business. And that's the goal. And as we get towards that goal, we're actually going in like this, right? We're getting more in. You've got deductive, inductive. We're actually going in, you know, in and in and in and in and in towards that. And we're trying to create this image and this goal, and we're holding this, moving towards this. And we've done the SMART goal and all that. So you see on my face, it's kind of like we're trying to squeeze ourselves in. We're trying to squeeze our behaviors in to get this kind of goal. Yeah. I don't know if you've ever had a relationship where, I don't know if you ever had a relationship, could be someone in the family, could be romantic, where you kind of got to squeeze yourself into this character. You got to squeeze yourself into this character so you can kind of fit in enough, you know. And you can actually set goals like that. We try to squeeze in enough, right? But what if we don't have goals we got to fit into, but instead just be emergent? Constantly emerging and expanding on whatever happens in life. Child's having a tantrum, utilize it, bring it in. Child's falling asleep, all right, bring it in. Oh, there's Auntie Cousin, what are they doing? Bring them in. Problem or challenges or business or people, keep bringing them in, and have the, rather than going deductive on a goal, just keep going for what's a positive difference today. Yeah, or walking the step in becoming a more whole or more loving. Just opening up to new possibilities every day. And if we are just opening up to say new possibilities, that becomes a habit. Now we're going to opening up to new possibilities and gratitude. So we'll do the two of them, and then it'll start to be a habit. Yeah, and then every now and then we start sharing and caring more, and that becomes a habit. And next thing you know, we're doing the sharing and the caring, the gratitude, the appreciation, and we're constantly just setting ourselves up with more and more habits yeah, that just continually open us up to emerge into more nature, into a better world, to loving human beings, rather than going on my stiff goal. I've got to make $100,000 a year, or I've got to make 1.2 or whatever. Yeah. What do you guys think about that there? Yeah, that's one of the differences with, I'd say, the generative work, the generative open up and beyond NLP world. Most NLP, the grad cert has this open, expanding. Definitely does. Yeah, definitely does. But most of the other courses I've seen are pretty deductive, and people want to know, what am I going to be at the end of the course? But it's like, well, hang on. If we just set ourselves up to be emergent and open. So, guys, I'm gonna sell the hell out of this NLP here, because I see a lot of people getting in. No, it's good. It's okay to want to be a coach, and I love anyone that wants to be a coach, but I also want to love you if you just want to be a better parent, a better human being, a better neighbor, a better you, a better cat owner, a better dog owner. Use our work to be, yep, and that is a bit goal focused, perhaps, but not in, you got to be a better you, this kind of deductive way, be a better you however you do it, but find authentic ways to do it and keep getting more and more authentic and aligned. Hey, so our NLP has a massive toolkit. It's bigger than you think. If you think it's big, you ain't seen nothing yet. It's big. Now Ray can tell you. Ray knows how big it is. Ray will be able to say pretty soon. Yep, NLP toolkit's big. He's seen it for a long time. I like what Ben Manson here and I do is we jump into completely other toolkits and make our own toolkits, and making our own from our own experiences. And it's great to hear about how great people do it and to play with their maps. But then it's wonderful just to make your own maps. So just briefly, NLP is great. It started as a mapping system, perhaps. We use this thing modeling. We go into the modeling states through very deep states. We model like accelerated learn, just taking on the genius, figuring out the genius, or modeling the coach, perhaps. Yeah. So through modeling, we develop maps. Yeah, we look at a map of a psychotherapist or a family therapist, and we look at a map of a few family therapists, and we find underlying patterns. Now we see patterns, such as the patterns of genius running through a lot of them, right? And we may see specific patterns, like how to do a negotiation, or how to make rapport, or how to forgive. We see lots of different patterns and processes, and some are more effective than others for outcomes. So our NLP is largely kind of extracting them, yeah. And someone would have at some point, like Wim Hof went over to Tibet and went to places and did the breath work, right? And he learned from people and kind of got his own version of it, polished it up, wonderful marketing, sold it around the planet. You can do your own toolkits, you can do your own modeling. Perhaps if you knew a totally amazing soccer coach, or a totally amazing teacher, or a charismatic stage performer, or an executive coach, you could model them and develop a model of their thinking. Yeah. So a lot of the early NLP are maps up until the 90s, but there are a few NLP programs like the graduate certificate that has a ton more programs in it. The grad cert really has a whole, maybe twice as much. No, maybe more. It's bloody comprehensive and good, not just the short and sharp. I believe everyone, and I think everyone here has heard me say it enough times, do NLP first before ICF. I'm going to stop now. We've got 14 guys. Okay, well, anyone like to ask any questions? What I want to do in a minute is I think I got everyone's, or those that I see know, they've heard me enough times say do NLP first, because once you get NLP, you can start to use that wherever you are. If you do ICF first, it's kind of like, this is ICF coaching. It's like, or an ICF ACC, not an ACC. You know, the ICF courses are like, this is how you have a conversation. You know, they have to have a conversation. ICF coaching is about this kind of conversation, where the NLP is more like, here you go. We got the whole toolkit. And maybe you do ICF coaching, maybe you do coaching at work, but maybe you need to use it with the kids. And use it with the kids, use it with yourself. I'm going to use it with my spiritual beliefs. And I'm going to use it for my behaviors, so I eat less food. And I'm going to, yeah. So the whole toolkit versus, any questions about my preference or my thoughts about doing one than the other? Oh, you're on mute there, Ray. Anyone want to ask anything? Okay, great. So whether we go for surface level or depth, it is going to be largely impacted by your actual skills. Yeah. If you can ask a sharp question early and easily ask a sharp question, you may not need to have 20 sessions. Yeah. If you have the skill to be able to hear them and know straight away, hang on, they're not gonna actually do their goals. Yeah. If you can tell that, you can save a lot of time. Yeah. There is much more we can apply it to. We did this thing called timeline therapy, and we go back to the first time we experience an emotion like anger. We go back to the first time we experience maybe shame, guilt, sadness, fear, you know, but we do it like once. That's what typically happens, is we do it once. And people typically just do a coaching course just once. And it's not a matter of just doing it once. We want to do it a few times. Yeah. You know, and sometimes we go back and maybe there's other stuff, or another time in future there can be more. But I've been really impressed with the effectiveness and the amount of things that we've been able to do in our bloody work. And I meet coaches that are struggling in all kinds of spaces, and I'm struggling in some places too. Yeah, I struggle more than others in some time, but like, fuck. I did a bit of work today, you know. I worked a little bit on a Sunday, but by the beach. I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful for being able to learn and have the privilege of being able to think and act, because, you know, our time and our effort are currency. Everyone's like money, but it's like that currency, your time and energy is a currency. So if we put time and energy, perhaps money, perhaps not. If you don't want to buy any NLP training, that's cool. If you want to, well, we don't care about that. But if you want to invest your time and energy into developing yourself, into learning your patterns, then boom, you're gonna get better. If you put your energy into your training and your development, and the person that is teaching you is got to be careful there. That's why I don't teach the business of coaching. I teach how to coach, yep. I'll teach psychotherapy, but I won't tell you it's the business of coaching. I don't want to cover that because I haven't had the financial success of making like millions with coaching. If I did, then I would feel like, yep, that's enough. I can teach that. Yeah. But I can definitely teach how to coach through anything. How to coach through absolutely anything. But I can also show you how to sit and do deep psychotherapy through anything too. And if we're going to do deep psychotherapy through, we're actually going to be using some of the linguistic patterns. And we may change meta programs unknowingly or knowingly. And we will step through various perceptual positions, stepping out from first to second, third. But with our practice, we get better and better at doing it. So we can do it more elegantly. And you just got to keep doing it, but applying it to yourself as much as your clients. How much do you know about your own meta programs? And how often do you walk through like archetypes? Okay, so just imagine a circle around you, and straight out to the front, you could have your north point, one step or one leap out to the front. Yep, boom, one step. You would anchor the first position 1. Yep, and then just walk 2 steps, position 2, bonk. Right 2 steps, position 3. Right 2 steps, position 4, and just make yourself a square. In each square, you can have an archetype. Yeah. You can change those squares to things that you want. You can change those squares to being a coach, a therapist, a mentor, or a leader. You can make the squares feel different things. And once you actually start to walk those squares or walk into the king, you start to feel it and sense it. There's a certain way the king acts, or if you're stepping into the warrior energy, you know. Now, in indigenous culture, we have like a hunter. Yeah. Most models, be it indigenous, male, female, or the mankind, the warrior king lover, have this mythical side, have the magician side, has the magical side. But a question for you, if you have if you understand the magician, if you understand the magic, if you understand the mystique, is it magic? If I can actually do this little magic trick for you and do like a magic trick, yeah? If you understand it, it's no longer magic. So if you study magic, you're never going to get an end result like, I'm done studying magic. Because you can't be done studying magic. Because if you are, then it's not magic. Right? So it can be just sort of be aware of that. I find that interesting. Now, once we step into magic, there's a boundary where magic is and where it isn't. So archetypes give us more of an understanding or having the points out. I'd like for you to consider sometimes, do you like to sit perhaps with the deeper, more philosophical? Or would you like to go deeper with the coaching? Perhaps, yeah. I think if you end up going deeper, it's going to be a combination of both you and client, of course. There's going to be opportunities for you to dive deeper, go deeper, like what's really important, what's really, really, really important, or what do you want to desire? There's various different ways you can get your clients to go deeper, but do you want to? Now, if you really want to and naturally do, you're going to attract and work with people who'll be open to that. Or if you use the approach, certain people will go away and others will come back. Ones that fit the approach and Now, anyway, these different things we have, like psychotherapy, mentoring, all these different labels, right? There's a lot of shared territory and there's some not, right? We all like to focus on client-led. We all like to use words like evidence-based. Of course, it's evidence-based. Everything's evidence-based. So we focus on the client and we really want to be more led by the client, but it's a delicate line. Led by the client, but what if the client's going in loops, right? We share a belief in human potential, and you want to make sure you really do believe in human potential and the magic of your client. If you're working with someone, or if you're in an intimate or a close relationship with someone and you don't believe in that, that's like a kick in the fucking nuts. Sorry for swearing. When you hang out with your friends or your partners or your clients, and you have deep belief in them and belief of what we can do, it's just that's where we want to be at. Yeah. But be aware we do have our own blind spots and we do have our own preferences. Yeah, but we have preferences that we're not even aware of, such as the preference for going towards goals or the preference for being emergent and open. Yeah. There are a lot of people that have that, goal and they have no idea about it. It's just, that's just the way it is. Yeah. And other people are much more emergent and can't even see that. I coached an Indigenous man, and I said to the Indigenous man about what he wanted to do, and he said he wanted to go fishing and just sit on the side of the river and fish. I actually thought, oh, sounds like procrastination. Later on, I decided to go, hang on, who was I? Who was I? Like, I wasn't aware of my own blind spot and preference towards development. I was unaware of my own preference for forward development. You get that? I had a preference for forward development rather than just being. A psychotherapist right there might have stopped and leaned in. I didn't lean in at that point. I didn't lean in. I kind of leaned out. Oh, I at that moment when I was coaching him, and my brain goes, oh, it's procrastinating, I want to coach this man into getting a job or getting back out there and doing. In that moment, I caught myself and stepped out. I could very easily lean in and coach him or try to persuade him to get a job or whatever, But I leaned out a bit. Next time, I'd like to lean in a bit more. Next time, I'd like to lean in more, really. You'd really just like to sit and fish. Big breath. if we wanted to go deep, we could just drop down right there. Sit and just fish. Now, what if we were to just stop and just drop? We could say some things like relaxing the throat, relaxing the jaw, slowing down the exhalation. Comfortably, we can just drop ourselves into a bit more of a trance, and dropping ourselves into a trance will go into our happy place. Now, if we're in good rapport, we'll both slow down. Or if I slow down first, they'll slow down second. So it can be really simple for you guys that have some hypnosis training. Could be really useful to have conversations with people or have coaching and just drop down in the middle of conversation. Friends looking at me going, "You're going to try that." But what if we practice with conversations rather than waiting for the next coaching call? Ray, are you using some hypnosis like this at work and able to tell us? Denial. No, never. Definitely not. Especially not in a recording. Here's something new I want you to try out. Meeting trauma, or meeting things. So just write that down for your notes. Meeting trauma, or meeting the fear. I'd like you to consider meeting. It's a bit gentler, like meeting the resistance. And I wouldn't even call it resistance. Yeah. Briefly, trauma is typically referred to for therapy. They typically teach us in coach training, but look, what if you're trained in therapy? What if you're trained in therapy? Well, if you're trained in therapy and coaching, can you do both? That's, I think it's a bit of a disservice if you don't. But you do have to question how far you can go. And if someone is coming to you as a coach, I've made this mistake before. Someone's come to me, and basically the story I want to use is he came to me with a flat tire, and I tried to give the engine an overhaul. He came in with a flat tire, and I tried to overhaul the engine. What do you think about that? If you took your car somewhere for a flat battery, and they're telling you the whole engine needs to go. Good?
I think it's really easy to do if you don't squeeze your own aperture. When you want to go deep, you kind of end up answering far too many questions for them, and I think it's a little bit too much of an identity shift for some people. So yeah, I have been reining my words in a lot.
And too much of an identity shift for some people. We've been talking about that too, haven't we? Like, how much can their system handle? a friend of mine, a good army friend of mine asked me who I would be if I wasn't Adrian. Who I wouldn't be if I wasn't me. He's like, no coaching skills, no property, no success, cut all that away. And I stood back a few meters, and then I stood back a few more meters. I couldn't do it. It was too much of a leap. I couldn't see it, right? Sometimes we can do an identity shift, and sometimes it's like the nervous system rejects it. Sometimes it can be too big. And sometimes things got to be broken down piece by piece or into smaller pieces. Yeah. If someone does come to you and they are wanting you just to look at a tire and you work on their tire and you do a good job, maybe you don't need to point anything out, just that they can call you the next time there's anything with their car. Yeah. Or just stick to the tire, and after a couple of tires, hey, you do engine overhauls too. Oh yeah, for sure.
And only fix expensive tires.
Or only fit expensive tires. There are some businesses that appear to perhaps fix tires. I was in a coaching retreat event and I felt like, have you seen the races where instead of horses going around the racetrack, you got like 5 or so dogs and a rabbit? Yeah, and the rabbit goes and the dog's chasing the rabbit. Have you ever felt like that as a coach? Or in the coaching space, like one of those dogs? Or maybe the rabbit? No. In a coaching retreat, it felt like I was one of the dogs, and it was like I understood what was going on and I understood the track. And the coach was setting people up to chase the money. And I've seen training where people have paid thousands of dollars to chase the rabbit. And I've had to question, well, do you really want to chase the rabbit? What if you just exit the track? Yeah. Yeah. I'm not saying like Gandhi, but peaceful resistance. Do you really need to be running around the track? Do you really need to be running around the track? And I have had people come to me that are running around the track and they wanted to help run more. And one particular lady hired me to help her run more. And I said to her, like, hey, I can help you run more and I can help you run more. When's it time you're going to stop? She said, stop what? And I said, stop running. I may have said, stop running from your family. Stop running from yourself. I'm not sure. She exploded. Exploded. Got an absolute amazing result. But I didn't have informed consent. She wasn't ready for it. I wasn't ready for it. I guess we were on a deeper sense, a deeper level we may have been. But she got deep transformational result from it. I just popped the explosion from it. So if you're not sure about boundaries with trauma, I go for your feelings. Yep. Do I feel scared to handle this client or this trauma? Yeah, maybe. I go straight to the fear. I find fear. Yeah, I'm feeling fear. Okay. Do I want to proceed anyway? Do I want to continue and do this service with this person? Do I want to do the work? If it's still a yeah, I might just face the fear and do it anyway. But I would like to say face the fear and do it anyway. Don't ignore the fear. Like face the fear. Actually face the fear. Look the fear in the eye. One thing you can do is you can face whatever fear it is in the eye and we can bow. Yeah. about energy going where the energies lie. So our bowing and surrendering, energy calms down. Okay, just got a couple more little things on this. So, we got some great stuff. The NLP teaches a lot of things. Briefly, I want to suggest that one of the best ways to move forward is to actually be a client, work with coaches, work with someone, hire a coach. Yeah, or get an obligation, get some coaching, do NLP, the basic one, just the first one. After you get the first one, or you can do the practitioner, or you can read it from a book, you can attend our classes. I've got a link for a training people can do. That's no problem, right? But I'd like to suggest that people do the NLP and then spend time integrating it. Find ways to practice it at work, practice it on the way to work, practice it with yourself, and really embody it and develop those rapport calibration skills. Go on to the next level of the NLP, the master level. Generally, that should take a year or two. With that, anything, you'll be able to write it down. Anxiety, doesn't matter what it is, depression, write it down. You'll be able to cut through it. Yep. But to actually get to that level, it is actually a lot of practice and diligence and turning up nonstop. Like Ray and Joe, you guys turn up and you turn up and you turn up and you turn up. The problem is a lot of people that just do like 4 days and you never get to see again. After you do those two, after doing that, then you might want to consider the ICF training, right? Because if you want to consider the ICF training, right, if you do NLP first, you go on the ICF training, you're going to be a high achiever. You're going to be doing well. You're more likely to get clients and work and a reputation set up straight away with the ICF people in your group. Does that make sense? So NLP first, then when you do the ICF training, you can model the trainers, model what they're doing. Yeah. I have a training online. I don't really sell this much, but we do have a NLP course, $800. Well, it's actually $800, or you can pay 50% and get the first half of the course. We did this a long time ago, actually. So this hasn't had ChatGPT go through it. This isn't ChatGPT. This is how we did it, old school style. But this is a training that we have of NLP, and we have over 60 unique tools in here. And if you notice, a couple of them you can actually copy out if you really wanted to. I used to share that for teachers and say, teachers, go and get that and get that. So if anyone's interested in that, it's, yep. Oh, we've got some free gifts here as well. Motivate Community. If you go to Motivate Community, we've got a couple of things here as well. And these two links are here. And come on, let's see. Just pop that in the chat window. Estrelita has shared the Thursday training. If there is other NLP you want to look at, the graduate certificate is the biggest kind of comprehensive program I've seen. We have sold and trained about 110 students in NLP. We've had some great results, really great results. So many of our guys are TEDx speakers and doing phenomenal things now, coaching and going on and making much bigger things. The graduate certificate is now probably the best avenue for high quality specific training in that. Unless, of course, you want to come to Townsville and spend a bit of time with me and Ben Madison here in person, which is an open invitation for you all to come and join. If you're looking at the NLP, this is the only suggestion, is work with trainers that are being endorsed by the creators. Yeah. So learn from people that learn from their creators, not someone that learned from someone that learned from someone that learned from someone. I was just in Japan recently, and there's a bunch of wonderful Japanese guys, wonderful. And a couple of them were trained by someone, and I had absolutely no idea who it was. And a lot of people in Australia, they get trained by people, and I have absolutely no idea who on earth trained them. If you want to know who trained me, just go John Grinder or the people that created the NLP. They're still alive. They're still training, but not much. ICF training, we're going to do a short training in September. Esther Leaders shared it in the chat window there. I think we've got a price tag on it, like $100. Money's irrelevant for us though, but it is for you. Just $100. You can come and join us. As easy as that. Myself and Philip Effenberger will be delivering the training and get people in breakout rooms and then do some one-to-one training with those that are keen. That'll be in September. Esther Leaders shared that in the chat.
Boom! You made it here! Good on you. Make sure you click the subscribe button below and check out the playlist at the end. If you'd like to come along to our Sunday sessions where we host a live, free Q&A for our students and members, you're welcome. I'll see you there.